Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, English Journey Conversation. I am very happy to see you here. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support my channel. Hello, and welcome again to English Journey Conversation. I feel really happy that you are here with me today. Thank you for spending your time with me. I know you could be doing many other things, but you chose to listen to this episode, and that means a lot. In this podcast, we talk about simple and useful ideas. These ideas can help you grow as a person, become stronger, and improve your English at the same time. So, take a deep breath, relax, and get ready to learn something new and helpful. Today's topic is why we keep making the same mistakes again and again. Have you ever said to yourself, "Why did I do that again?" Or maybe, "I thought I learned my lesson, but I still made the same mistake." If you have, you're not alone. Many people feel this way. I also feel like this sometimes. It happens to everyone, at school, at work, in relationships, and even when we are learning English. Sometimes we feel frustrated. We don't understand why we keep doing the same wrong thing. Even when we really want to change, we still do it. That is why today's topic is very important. Because if we can understand why we repeat mistakes, we can also learn how to stop repeating them. Why mistakes matter. When we repeat mistakes, it can make us feel stuck. We feel like we are not moving forward. Sometimes it slows down our growth. But when we learn from mistakes, something amazing happens. We grow stronger. We feel more confident. We feel more in control of our life. So, this episode is not just about mistakes. It is about learning, changing, and moving forward. In this episode, you will learn 3 important things. What a mistake really is. Why we repeat the same mistakes. How to stop repeating them and make better choices. I will also share some common mistakes that English learners often make and how to fix them. In this episode, I will also talk about common mistakes that English learners make again and again. I will give you clear steps to break those habits and improve faster. How to use this podcast. I will use simple words and short sentences so you can understand everything. Remember, this podcast is for English learners, so you can practice both listening and speaking. While you listen, try to repeat some keywords and sentences with me. Speaking out loud is a very good way to improve your English. If you want, you can pause the episode and say the sentence again. Don't worry about being perfect. This is your time to practice step by step. So, are you ready to stop repeating the same mistakes? Are you ready to make a positive change in your life and in your English learning? Let's begin this journey together. You're already doing a great job just by being here. Understanding what a mistake really is. Before we can stop repeating mistakes, we need to understand what they actually are. So, let's take a moment. A mistake is something we do that is not correct. It is something we do that is not what we wanted. Sometimes we do something, and later we realize it was not the best choice. That is a mistake. Mistakes can be small or big. But the truth is this: mistakes are a natural part of life. Everyone makes them. Yes, everyone. Examples of mistakes. Let me give you some simple examples. Imagine you have homework, but you forget to bring it to school. That is a mistake. You did not want to forget, but it happened. Or maybe you're speaking English and you say he go to school instead of he goes to school. That is a grammar mistake. Another example, you promise to call your friend, but you forget. That is also a mistake. Or you touch a hot pan without thinking and burn your hand. That is a mistake too, because you were not careful. See, mistakes happen everywhere, in school, in daily life, and in language learning. Mistakes are normal. Sometimes a mistake teaches us a lesson. Sometimes it helps us become smarter and stronger. The important thing is not to feel bad when we make a mistake. Instead, we should learn from it and move forward. A mistake can be something very small. For example, maybe you talk to someone and your words sound a little rude, but you did not mean to be rude. That is also a mistake. So, as you can see, a mistake is just something we do wrong, usually without meaning to. Now, here is something very important. Mistakes are not bad. They are not a sign that you are weak. They are not proof that you are stupid.
No.
Mistakes are actually a natural part of how we learn and grow. Learning through mistakes. Think about when you learned to ride a bicycle. Did you fall down once, twice, maybe 5 or 10 times? That's okay. Falling is part of the learning process. Every time you fell, your body learned something new about balance. Falling is how you learn to stay up. And the same is true for English. The same is true for life. When you make a mistake, it does not mean you are a failure. It simply means you are trying something new. It means you are learning. You are moving forward. You are growing. Mistakes show us what does not work. And because of that, they also help us find what does work. Every successful person in the world has made many mistakes. But the difference is they did not stop. They kept going. They learned from their mistakes, and with time, they got better. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. It's also very helpful to remember this. Everyone makes mistakes. It doesn't matter how smart, rich, or talented a person is. Your teacher makes mistakes. Your boss makes mistakes. Your parents make mistakes. Even famous people on TV or world-class athletes make mistakes. Sometimes we believe we are the only ones who keep doing the wrong thing. We think, why do I always mess up? Why can't I do this right? But trust me, you are not alone. Even the people who look perfect from the outside have made hundreds or even thousands of mistakes in their lives. Why mistakes are not shameful. So please remember this. Making mistakes is normal. It is part of being human. If you can accept your mistakes and learn from them, you will grow faster. You will become stronger and more confident. Mistakes are not something to be ashamed of. They are a sign that you are trying, learning, and becoming better. It is okay to make mistakes. You do not need to feel guilty. You do not need to feel ashamed. What matters is not the mistake itself. What matters is what you do after the mistake. Do you learn from it? Do you try again? Do you change something the next time? That is what really counts. A language learning example. Let's take an English example. Imagine you are learning English and you often forget to use the past tense. You say, yesterday I go to the market, instead of yesterday I went to the market. At first, you might feel embarrassed if someone corrects you, but don't feel bad. That mistake is actually a moment of learning. The next time, you might remember to say when instead of go, and that is progress. Every mistake is like a small teacher. Each one gives you a little message. Hey, look here. This is something you can improve. Repeating mistakes. Now, sometimes people feel bad because they make the same mistake again and again. For example, you keep arriving late to school or work even though you promised to come on time. Or you keep forgetting to study English even when you said you would study every day. In these moments, you might feel angry at yourself. You might think, why can't I stop doing this? But here is the truth. This is also normal. Many people struggle with the same mistakes. It does not mean you are lazy. It does not mean you are hopeless. It just means you have not found the right way to change yet. And that is exactly what we are going to explore in this episode. Be kind to yourself. So please don't be too hard on yourself. Being kind to yourself is part of the learning process. When you make a mistake, try saying to yourself, that's okay. I can try again. I can do better next time. If you speak to yourself with kindness and patience, your mind will stay open. You will learn faster. You will feel more confident. But if you say things like, I always fail, or I am not good enough, your mind will close. You will feel stressed and learning will become harder. So remember, your inner voice matters. When you talk to yourself with kindness, you create a safe space for learning. You give yourself a chance to improve. And the truth is, you can change. You can stop repeating the same mistakes. You just need the right steps, the right mindset, and a little patience. If you say things like, "I'm stupid," "I always fail," then your mind will close. You will feel bad, and it will be harder to grow. Mistakes are signs on the journey. Think of mistakes like small road signs. Each one shows us where we are weak, but also where we can become strong. Instead of hiding from mistakes, let's look at them carefully. They are not enemies. They are guides on our journey of learning and growing. Learning from mistakes. So what should we do with mistakes? We should learn from them. We should talk about them. That is how we grow. Not just as English learners, but as people. Let's quickly sum up what we know so far. A mistake is something we do wrong, usually without meaning to. Mistakes happen to everyone. They are a natural part of learning. You don't need to feel guilty about them. Instead, you can see mistakes as tools. Learning tools. And here's the good news. The more you understand your mistakes, the easier it becomes to change. Why do we repeat the same mistakes? Now, let's move to the next big question. Why do we keep repeating the same mistakes again and again? Maybe you already know what your mistake is. You can even see it clearly, but still you do it again. Why does this happen? What is stopping us from changing? This is what we are going to explore together in this part of the episode. Mistake once versus mistake many times. Making a mistake once is normal. Everyone does that. But making the same mistake many times usually means there is something deeper happening inside us. So, let's look at 3 common reasons why people repeat the same mistakes. 1. We don't learn from the past. The first reason is simple. We do not learn from the past. Many times we make a mistake, but we don't take time to think about it. We move on quickly. We forget it. We don't ask ourselves important questions like, why did that happen? What can I do differently next time? And because we don't think about it, the mistake stays inside us. It repeats again and again. When we don't reflect, we are more likely to do the same thing again. Here's an example. Imagine you always forget to study for your English test until the last minute. You feel stressed. You don't sleep well. And then you don't do very well on the test. After the test, you tell yourself, next time I will start earlier. But when the next test comes, you forget again. Why does this happen? Because you never stop to understand what happened last time. Maybe you spent too much time watching TV. Maybe you didn't have a study plan. Maybe you didn't write the test date in your calendar. You didn't change your habits. That is why the mistake came back. The lesson here is simple. If we don't learn from mistakes, we repeat them. To stop repeating mistakes, we need to slow down. We need to reflect. We need to ask questions about our actions. 2. We act without thinking. The second reason is this. We often act too quickly without thinking. This happens a lot in everyday life. Sometimes we are in a hurry. Sometimes we are tired. Sometimes we are emotional, angry, sad, or stressed. In those moments, we do things without really thinking about the results. Later, we realize, oh no, I made the same mistake again. Here's an example. Maybe you always say yes to people even when you are very busy. A friend asks for help, your boss asks for more work, or someone invites you to go somewhere. You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, so you say yes. But later you feel tired, stressed, and maybe even angry. You ask yourself, why did I say yes again? The answer is simple. You didn't stop to think before you answered. Acting without thinking is a common habit, but we can change it. How to change it? How? By pausing. Just a small pause. Next time before you answer, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, do I really have time for this? Is this the right choice for me right now? Will this help me or harm me? Sometimes a 2-second pause can save you from a big mistake. 3. We are afraid of change. The third reason is very powerful. We are afraid of change. Change is not easy. Even when something is not good for us, we sometimes keep doing it because it feels safe. It feels familiar. Our mind says, stay here. Don't try something new. It's risky. Here's an example. Imagine you're learning English and you are afraid to speak in class. You stay quiet even when you know the answer, or even when you want to say something. After class, you feel bad. You think, I should have spoken. But the next day, the same thing happens. You stay silent again.
Why?
Because your fear of change, your fear of making a mistake in front of people, is stronger than your desire to try. The truth is, many people repeat mistakes because they choose comfort over change. But comfort does not help us grow. Change does. So to summarize, we repeat mistakes when we don't learn from the past. We act too quickly without thinking. We are afraid of change. The good news is we can do something about all of these. In the next part of this episode, we will talk about how to stop repeating the same mistakes and finally move forward. Change feels scary, but it brings growth. So, why do we keep repeating the same mistakes? One big reason is this: change is scary.
Think about it.
Speaking out loud in class can feel uncomfortable. Saying no when someone asks you for help can feel uncomfortable. Trying something new, like joining a gym or talking to a stranger, can feel uncomfortable. But here's the truth. To grow, we need to face that fear. Growth only happens when we take small steps out of our comfort zone. Change may feel scary at first, but step by step it leads to growth. Every time you face your fear, it becomes a little smaller. And every time you try, you become a little stronger. Reason 4. Lack of self-awareness. The fourth reason we repeat mistakes is that we often lack self-awareness. Self-awareness means knowing ourselves well. It means understanding our habits, our thoughts, and our feelings. When we do not know ourselves, we cannot see why we keep making the same mistakes. We may not notice the patterns. We may not understand what triggers our actions. For example, maybe you get angry when you are tired, so you speak harshly to people. Or maybe you feel nervous when you are in a group, so you avoid speaking. If you do not know these things, you cannot change them. So the first step to stop repeating mistakes is to become more aware of yourself. Reason 4. Lack of self-awareness. The fourth reason we repeat mistakes is a little different. It is called lack of self-awareness. This means we do not always see what we are doing. We are not fully aware of our habits. Maybe you do not notice how often you interrupt people in conversations. Maybe you do not realize how often you complain. Maybe you do not see that you are using the wrong tense in English over and over again. Or maybe you are always late to work and you tell yourself it is just traffic, without noticing that you actually leave your house too late every day.
Do you see?
Sometimes other people can see our mistakes, but we don't see them ourselves. And when we are not aware of our actions, we cannot change them. That is why it is so important to pay attention to how we speak, how we act, and how we respond to situations. When we become more aware, we shine a light on our habits. And when we can see clearly, we can finally break the cycle of repeating the same mistakes. Let's review. Now, let us pause for a moment and review these ideas. Repetition helps us remember better. We repeat mistakes because we do not learn from the past. We ignore the lesson. We act without thinking. We move too fast or let emotions control us. We fear change. We stay in old habits because they feel safe. We lack self-awareness. We do not realize what we are doing wrong. These are the most common reasons people keep making the same mistakes. Your turn. Reflect on your mistakes. Now, I want you to think about your own life. Can you find one mistake you often repeat? Maybe it is something in your English learning, like not practicing speaking enough. Maybe it is something in your daily life, like going to bed too late or arriving late to school or work. Once you think of one mistake, ask yourself, why do I do this again and again? Is it because I never learn from it? Is it because I did not stop to think before acting? Is it because I am afraid to try something new? Is it because I do not see my habit clearly? These questions will help you understand your behavior. When you know the reason, you can start to change. You can stop repeating the same mistake. And remember, change is a process. It does not happen in one day. It happens step by step. You are not alone. Everyone makes mistakes. But the important thing is to keep trying. Maybe a reason is that you are afraid to try something new. Or maybe it is because you never even noticed this habit until now. It is okay if you connect to one of these reasons or even more than one. All of these reasons are part of being human. Everyone has them. But here is the good news. Once we understand the reason, we can take the first step toward change. Knowing why is the beginning of doing something different. The exciting part, how to stop repeating mistakes. So now that we know why people repeat the same mistakes, we are ready to move into the most exciting part of this episode. How do we stop it? Yes, you can stop repeating mistakes. You can break the cycle. In the next part, I will give you easy steps you can follow. These steps will help you not only in learning English, but also in your everyday life. So stay with me, keep listening. You are doing a great job. And every word you hear is bringing you one step closer to becoming a better, stronger version of yourself. How repeating mistakes affects your life. Before we talk about the solutions, let's look at something important. How repeating the same mistakes can affect your life. Sometimes we think, oh, it is just a small mistake, not a big deal. And yes, sometimes that is true. But when we keep making the same mistake again and again, it starts to change things. It can change how we feel about ourselves. It can change our relationships with people. It can even make learning and growing harder. For example, when you repeat the same mistake many times, you may start to feel frustrated. You might feel stuck. You may begin to lose confidence. And when that happens, mistakes don't just stay mistakes. They start to affect your self-esteem, your mood, and your progress. Repeating mistakes can affect many areas. When we keep making the same mistake again and again, it does not just stay a small mistake. Over time, it can start to affect different parts of our life. It can affect our work or school performance. It can affect our relationships with friends and family. It can affect our health, especially if we keep making bad habits. For example, if you always arrive late to work, your boss may lose trust in you. If you keep saying yes to everyone, you may feel tired and stressed. If you keep avoiding speaking English, your progress will slow down. So repeating mistakes is not just about one moment. It is about many moments that add up over time. That is why it is important to stop repeating mistakes as soon as possible. Because when you stop repeating mistakes, you feel more confident. You feel more free. You feel more in control of your life. And the best part is you can start today. Repeating mistakes can affect many parts of your life. It can affect your feelings, your confidence, your relationships, and even your learning. 1. It affects how you feel about yourself. Think about this. You keep repeating a mistake, and after a while, you start asking yourself, why can't I stop doing this? That frustration can turn into self-doubt. Self-doubt means you begin to question yourself. You might start to believe that you are not strong enough or smart enough to change. And slowly, this hurts your confidence. Confidence is the belief that you can do things, that you are capable, and that you can improve. But when your confidence goes down, you stop trying. You might start saying things like, I always do this wrong. Maybe I'm just not good enough. These thoughts are not true, but they can feel very real if you keep repeating the same mistake and you don't see progress. 2. It affects your relationships. Repeating mistakes can also hurt the way other people see you. Imagine this. You often make promises, but you don't keep them. You tell your friend, "I'll meet you at 5, but you arrive late again. You say, "I'll call you tomorrow," but you forget. At first, your friend may forgive you. They may say, "It's okay." But if this happens many times, your friend may start to feel hurt. They may begin to lose trust in you. They may think, "Maybe you don't respect my time. Maybe you don't really care about my feelings." The same thing happens in other relationships, too. Mistakes in communication, like speaking without listening or reacting with anger, can damage connections with family, friends, or coworkers. When mistakes are repeated, they can slowly break trust. And trust is the heart of every relationship. Without trust, relationships become weak. 3. It affects your learning and growth. Repeating mistakes doesn't just affect how you feel or how others feel. It also affects your learning and personal growth. Let's take English learning as an example. If you keep making the same grammar mistake, it means you are not improving. If you keep saying the wrong words, it means your speaking will not become stronger. If you keep avoiding speaking, your English will stay the same. In other words, repeating mistakes slows down your progress. It keeps you stuck in the same place. And when you feel stuck, you may lose motivation. You may feel tired or bored. You may even want to give up. But here's the truth. Mistakes are not the problem. Repeating the same mistake without learning from it is the problem. So the goal is not to stop making mistakes completely. That is impossible. The goal is to learn from them and improve. When you learn from mistakes, you grow. You become smarter. You become stronger. You become more confident. And the best part is you can start today. Let's use English learning as an example. Imagine you really want to improve your speaking. Every day you tell yourself, "I will practice later," but later never comes. Or you say, "Tomorrow I'll speak in class," but when tomorrow comes, you stay quiet again. This keeps happening again and again. What happens then? You don't improve. Not because you can't improve, but because the same old habit is stopping you. Repeating the same mistake makes learning slow. It keeps you in the same place. After a while, you may begin to feel stuck. You may even lose motivation. Some people give up completely, not because they are not capable, but because the habit keeps blocking them. A short story, Ian's mistake. Let me share a story with you. There was a student named Ian. He really wanted to improve his English speaking. He joined an English class, and at the beginning he felt excited. But he had one problem. He was afraid to speak in front of others. Every time the teacher asked a question, Ian stayed silent. He thought to himself, "What if I make a mistake? What if people laugh at me?" After class, he always told himself, "Next time I will try." But when next time came, the same thing happened. He stayed quiet again. Days turned into weeks, and Ian was still not speaking. One day his teacher noticed and said kindly, "Ian, I can see you want to speak, but something is stopping you. Do you know what it is?" Ian said, "I don't want to make a mistake." The teacher smiled and said, "But Ian, by not speaking, you are making a bigger mistake. You are not learning." That moment changed something inside him. He realized that his fear of making mistakes was actually his biggest mistake. His silence was keeping him stuck. The very next day, Ian raised his hand. He answered a question even though his English was not perfect. And do you know what happened? The class clapped for him. That small step gave him courage. From that day, Ian started speaking more. He still made mistakes, but he learned from them.
His English got better step by step.
The lesson. This story shows us something important. Mistakes are not the problem. The real problem is avoiding mistakes. When we avoid trying, we stop growing. We stay in the same place. But when we try, even if we make mistakes, we move forward. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every lesson becomes progress. So don't be afraid to speak, to try, or to fail. Your progress is waiting on the other side of your fear. And from that day, Ian began to grow. The lesson. This story shows us two important things. First, a repeated mistake, like staying silent because of fear, can block your progress. Second, one small action, like speaking up once, can break the cycle and start growth. Time for reflection. Now let me ask you a question. Can you think of a mistake that you repeat again and again? Maybe you often forget important things. Maybe you speak before thinking and then regret your words. Maybe you always wait until the last minute to do your work. Maybe you say you will study, but you never actually start. Whatever your mistake is, pause and think. Why do I do this again and again? The moment you start asking this question, you begin to open the door to change. Think about it for a moment. What is one mistake that keeps coming back into your life? Is it forgetting things? Is it waiting until the last minute? Is it avoiding speaking English because you feel nervous? Another question. Why do you think this mistake keeps happening again and again? And here's another question. How is this mistake affecting your life? Does it make you lose confidence? Does it hurt your relationships with others? Does it stop your progress in learning? I want you to remember something very important. The goal of this reflection is not to make you feel bad. It is not to make you think you are weak or that you cannot change. The goal is simply to help you see more clearly. Because when we see the truth, we can start to make better choices. You are not your mistakes. You are not your mistakes. Let me say that again. You are not your mistakes. You are a person who can learn, who can grow, and who can change. Starting today. And now, in this part of our podcast, we are going to move forward. We are going to talk about something very exciting. How to stop repeating the same mistakes. Yes, it's possible. It takes time. It takes small steps. But it is absolutely possible. The important thing is to start. Even a small step can make a big difference. Because when you start changing your habits, your life starts changing too. You become more confident. You feel stronger. You feel more in control. And your English will improve faster as well. So keep listening and get ready for the next part. Now I will give you a simple plan with just 5 steps. Each step is clear. Each step is easy to follow. And each step will help you change your habits one at a time. And here is something extra. While we go through these steps, I will ask you to repeat some sentences with me out loud. This way, you will not only learn how to change your habits, but you will also practice your English speaking. So you are learning for life and for language at the same time. Step 1. Notice the mistake. The very first step is awareness. You must notice the mistake. Many times we keep repeating the same mistake simply because we don't realize we are doing it. So stop and take a closer look. Ask yourself, what is something I keep doing that causes problems for me? Maybe you always forget your homework. Maybe you always start studying too late. Maybe you always avoid speaking English in class. These are not just accidents. They are habits. And habits become stronger when we don't notice them. That is why the first step is so powerful. You must say to yourself, I see my mistake. Let's say it together right now. I see my mistake. Again, I see my mistake.
Good job.
Remember, noticing the mistake is the very beginning of change. Step 2. Ask yourself why it happened. The second step is to ask yourself a deeper question. Why did I make this mistake? Don't just stop at, oh no, I messed up again. Go one step further. Look for the reason. For example, maybe you always forget your homework because you don't plan your time well. Maybe you don't speak in English class because you're afraid of making mistakes. Maybe you're always late because you leave your house too late, not because of traffic. When you find the reason, you begin to understand yourself. And when you understand yourself, you can prepare for next time. So let's say this together. I ask myself why the mistake happened. Now, let's continue with the plan. Step 3. Write it down. This step is simple but very powerful. Write your mistake down. Take a notebook or a piece of paper and write just 1 or 2 sentences about what happened and why. Writing helps your brain understand and remember. It also makes your thinking clearer. For example, you might write, I didn't speak English today.
Why?
Because I was nervous. I was late again.
Why?
Because I left home too late. When you write your mistake, it becomes real. It is no longer just a thought in your head. It is something you can see with your eyes. And when you can see it, you can begin to change it. Let's practice together. I write down my mistakes to learn from them. Say it again. I write down my mistakes to learn from them. Very good. Writing is like a mirror. It shows you the truth so you can grow. Reflect for a moment. Think about it for a moment. What is one mistake that keeps coming back into your life? Why do you think it keeps happening? How is it affecting your confidence, your relationships, or your progress in learning? The goal of this reflection is not to make you feel bad. It is to help you see clearly. When we see the truth, we can make better choices. You are not your mistakes. You are not your mistakes. You are a person who can learn, who can grow, and who can change starting today. In this part of the podcast, we will talk about how to stop repeating the same mistakes. Yes, it is possible. It takes time and small steps, but you can do it. I will give you a simple plan you can follow 1 step at a time. You are doing great just by listening and thinking.
Keep going.
Let's move forward together. How to stop repeating the same mistakes. So far, we talked about what a mistake is, why we repeat mistakes, and how they affect our life. Now, let's learn the most important part. How to stop. It will take effort, but it is not impossible. Stopping repeated mistakes will not happen in one day, but with small steps, you can break the cycle. You can learn from your past and change your future. In this part, we will use 5 simple steps. I will explain each one with easy examples. I will also ask you to repeat some short sentences out loud to practice your English. Step 1. Notice the mistake.
The first step is awareness.
You must first see what is happening. Sometimes we repeat mistakes because we don't even realize we are doing them. So stop and take a look. Ask yourself, what do I keep doing that causes problems? Here are some examples. You forget to do your homework. You start studying too late. You avoid speaking English in class. These things can turn into habits. And we cannot change what we do not see. Now repeat after me. I see my mistake. Again, I see my mistake.
Good job.
Noticing the mistake is the beginning of change. Step 2. Ask yourself why it happened. The second step is to ask yourself why. Do not just say, I messed up again. Go deeper. Ask, why did I do that? Here are some examples. I forget my homework because I do not plan my time well. I stay quiet in class because I am afraid of making mistakes. I arrive late because I leave home too late, not because of traffic. When you find the reason, you can prepare for next time. Repeat after me. I ask myself why the mistake happened. Again, I ask myself why the mistake happened. When you ask why, you find the root of the problem. Step 3. Write it down. The third step is writing. Write your mistake and the reason in a notebook. 1 or 2 sentences are enough. Writing helps your brain understand and remember. It also makes your thinking clear. Here are examples you can write. I didn't speak English today.
Why?
Because I was nervous. I was late again.
Why?
because I left home too late. When you write it, it becomes real. It is no longer just a thought. When you can see it, you can change it. Now repeat after me. I write down my mistake and the reason. One more time. I write down my mistake and the reason. Well done. Writing is a strong learning tool. Step 4. Make a small plan. Now we are ready for step 4. Making a small plan is the next step. Step 4. Make a small plan. Now it is time to make a plan to change. Do not try to change everything at once. Choose one small action. Here are some examples. If you forget homework, you can pack your school bag the night before. If you do not practice English, you can speak English for 5 minutes every morning. If you are late, you can set an alarm 10 minutes earlier and leave when it rings. If you forget tasks, you can write a short to-do list with 3 items each evening. Small plans are easier to follow. Small steps lead to big changes. Repeat after me. I make a small plan to change. Again, I make a small plan to change.
Perfect.
Keep your plan simple and clear. Step 5. Practice new habits slowly. Change takes time.
You may not succeed the first time.
That is okay. Keep practicing. Build up in tiny steps. Want to speak more? Say 1 sentence today, 2 sentences tomorrow. Want better time use? Try a short to-do list each day. Want more reading? Read 1 page a day, then 2 pages. Habits grow with practice. Repeat after me. I practice my new habit every day. Again, I practice my new habit every day. Great work. Change is not fast, but it is possible if you keep going. Quick review of the 5 steps. Let's review the 5 steps quickly. Notice the mistake. Say, I see my mistake. Ask why. Say, I ask myself why the mistake happened. Write it down. Say, I write down my mistake and the reason. Make a small plan. Say, I make a small plan to change. Practice slowly. Say, I practice my new habit every day. Take a deep breath. These steps are simple but powerful. You can use them in school, at work, in English learning, and in personal habits. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to keep trying. 1 mistake does not mean failure. Even 10 mistakes do not mean failure. It is about learning, growing, and moving forward step by step. A quick example. English verb tense. Let's look at a common English mistake. Your repeated mistake. You say, yesterday I go to school instead of, yesterday I went to school. Use the 5 steps. Let's finish the example. I said go instead of went.
Why?
I forgot the past tense. So, the mistake was using the wrong tense. The reason was that I did not review verbs. Now, make a small plan. Tomorrow, I will study 5 past tense verbs. Practice slowly. Say correct sentences out loud each day. For example, yesterday, I went to school. Yesterday, I ate breakfast early. Yesterday, we watched a movie. This simple process will help your English and your daily habits too. It works for grammar, time management, confidence, behavior, and emotions. Your turn. What is 1 mistake you want to stop repeating? Think about it. Say it out loud. Ask yourself why it happens. Write it down. Make your small plan. And most important, keep practicing. You are doing amazing. You are not behind. You are learning. Every time you choose to grow, you are winning. Review doesn't mean you are slow. Review doesn't mean you are slow. Review means you are smart. It is like building a strong house. You don't just put new floors on top of weak walls. You make the foundation strong first. Say this with me. Review makes me stronger. Review helps me remember. Even 5 minutes of review can make a big difference. You could quickly read old notes, repeat vocabulary from last week, or practice sentences you already learned. This keeps the knowledge alive in your mind. Another mistake: comparing yourself to others. Here is another mistake many English learners repeat: comparing themselves too much to others. You might look at another learner and think, they speak better than me. I'll never be like them. But comparison only makes you feel small. Everyone learns at a different speed. Your journey is unique. Repeat after me. I don't compare myself. I focus on my own progress. Remember, even one new word, one clear sentence, or one small step forward is progress. Don't let comparisons steal your motivation. Another common mistake: giving up too soon. Sometimes learners study hard for a week or a month, but when they don't see fast results, they stop. They think, I am not improving. But improvement takes time. It does not happen overnight. The truth is, your progress is happening even if you cannot see it yet. You are building skills slowly, step by step. So don't give up. Keep practicing. Keep reviewing. Keep moving forward. Because every small step brings you closer to your goal. Learning a language is not a sprint. It is a marathon. It is not about how fast you go. It is about being consistent every day. So, let's repeat together. I will not give up. I will keep going step by step. If you avoid these mistakes, your English will grow stronger every day. Not speaking enough. Fearing grammar mistakes. Studying without using what you learned. Skipping review. Comparing yourself to others. Giving up too soon. Now, take a moment. Which of these mistakes do you often repeat? Say it out loud. Then tell yourself, I can change this because I can. When we avoid difficult conversations, the feelings inside us do not disappear. They become bigger. One day, all those feelings come out at once, and usually in a way we don't want. If we want healthy relationships, we must speak with kindness, honesty, and respect. Saying what you feel does not make you rude. It makes you real. Repeat after me. I will speak with honesty. I will not hide my truth. Real change begins when you see your mistakes and decide to do something different. Repeat after me. I see my mistake. I will do better. This is how growth begins. That if you wasted too much time scrolling, your plan could be, tomorrow I will keep my phone away for 30 minutes while I work. If you avoided a task, your plan could be, tomorrow I will do just 5 minutes of that task to get started. These are small steps, but when you repeat them every day, they build a strong foundation for growth. When you start to see patterns in your life, you can break them. Let's try an example together. Imagine you had a difficult day. Maybe you were rude to a friend. Maybe you didn't finish your work. Or maybe you watched too much TV and avoided important tasks. Now it is evening. You stop for a moment and ask yourself, what mistake did I make today? You answer, I avoided my work and I snapped at my friend. Next you ask, why did it happen? You realize, I was stressed and I did not plan my time well. Finally, you ask, what can I do differently tomorrow? You decide, tomorrow I will make a to-do list and I will call my friend to say sorry. See how simple this is? Small actions, small reflections, but very powerful. If you practice this every day, it keeps your mind clear, your emotions calm, and your habits strong. You become someone who takes responsibility, not in a heavy or painful way, but in a peaceful and mature way. You grow into the person you want to be, one day at a time. So tonight, before you sleep, take a quiet moment. Ask yourself these 3 questions. 1. What mistake did I make today? 2. Why did it happen? 3. What can I do differently tomorrow? Then say this to yourself with kindness and hope. Tomorrow, I will try again. I am growing. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to keep showing up for myself day after day. There is one thing I hope you truly remember. You are not your mistakes. You are not the wrong choice you made. You are the person who noticed it. You are the person who wants to do better. And that intention, that willingness to improve, is what will carry you toward a better, wiser version of yourself. I want to leave you with a personal message of hope. You are already on the right path just by listening, reflecting, and asking how to improve. Many people never do this. They repeat the same patterns without thinking. But you are choosing awareness.
Keep going.
Keep noticing. Keep growing. Every day is a new chance to practice, improve, and become the best version of yourself. You are choosing growth. You are choosing to become a little better every day. You are choosing to be more honest with yourself and others. You are choosing to be more disciplined, more patient, and more kind. Yes, it takes time. Yes, sometimes you will make mistakes or fall back into old habits. That is okay. Every time you fall and then decide to rise again, you become stronger. Every time you pause and ask yourself, "Why did I do that?" you become wiser. Every time you say, "I will try better tomorrow," you are building a life full of purpose, learning, and maturity. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. Your journey takes time, but every step you take is important and worth it. If you found this episode helpful, I invite you to listen to it again whenever you need a reminder. You can also practice speaking with it. Repeat some phrases out loud. Speak your answers to the reflection questions. Or write your thoughts in a notebook or journal. Doing this will help your English speaking and thinking skills grow. It will also help you understand yourself better. Over time, you will start to notice small changes in how you think, how you act, and how you learn from your mistakes.